So it's time to buy your first car. You could hit the classifieds and get something second-hand, or with a little bit of budget, buy something new, like the Mazda2 Sedan. The main draw card for the Mazda2 Sedan over the hatch is right here. This boot is massive. It's got 440 litres of space, which is quite a bit for a car of this size. Significantly more than the 250 litres you get from a Mazda2 hatch. It's a wide and deep space, giving the car more practicality than most cars in its class. But we do have a little bit of a hang-up, and that's the gooseneck hinges you see in the boot here that can really eat into storage space when you're carrying a full load. Unlike the Mazda2 hatch, the sedan comes in just two trim levels. They've done away with the top-end model, leaving just the entry-level Neo and the mid-range Max. Now, one of the little surprises with this car is that it costs exactly the same as the hatch, model for model, which I think is pretty good value considering you're pretty much getting more car for your money. Now, the entry-level car that we're driving now is called the Neo. Like the hatch, it's priced from $14,990 plus on-road costs. For that money, you get things like Bluetooth, stereo, metallic paint, reversing sensors, and 15-inch steel wheels with hubcaps. Not an amazing level of specification, but not too stingy either. Now, the Mazda2 stacks up quite well on the safety front. The basics are in place, such as stability control and ABS, but the Mazda2 goes beyond the basics by having a full suite of airbags and the option of autonomous emergency braking, which Mazda calls Smart City Brake Support, that allows the car to brake all by itself to prevent an accident, which is a really excellent feature to have in a small car, and it only costs $400 as an option. I mean, that's what most manufacturers charge for metallic paint, and you're getting technology that could save lives. I think that's pretty good value. Now, under the bonnet, the Mazda2 Sedan has the same 1.5 litre engines as the hatchback. Now, there's a choice of two motors. There's basically a lower specification and a higher specification that are essentially the same engine, but with a few little tweaks designed to help improve fuel economy and power a little bit. The car that we're driving now has 79 kilowatts of power and 139 newton meters of torque, which aren't bad outputs for a little car like this. If you step it up from the Neo to the Max, you get 81 kilowatts and 141 newton meters. The engine can be a little bit underwhelming on the open road, but around town it's just great. The engine has nice close gearing and a fairly crisp response, which means you can zip around the city without any problems at all. Now, those engines are available with a choice of two transmissions. There's a 6-speed manual, which offers one of the sweetest shifts you'll find in a new car today, or for an extra $2,000 there's a 6-speed auto, which is equally good. Now, the auto has a sports option that hangs onto the right gear, or you can use a Tiptronic style function to choose gears yourself. Like the hatch, the Mazda2 is a good little thing on the road. It's got direct and communicative steering that really gives you a good feeling for where you're going on the road, and allows you to have a bit of confidence in the car if you want to press on a little bit. The suspension on the Mazda2 is quite interesting in nature. It's got a fairly sporty tune. There's not a lot of body roll and it's quite direct in its responses, but there's also a little bit of pitter-patter that you can feel over light imperfections that can be a little bit annoying if you're used to cars with a smoother ride. By the same token though, it's quite good at absorbing larger imperfections on the road, dealing with big bumps in a way that's quite grown up for a car of this size. And one of the things I like about this car is that the basics are all in place. The driving position is spot on. It offers an immense amount of adjustment for both the steering and the seat to allow drivers of all shapes and sizes to be comfortable behind the wheel. Now, the sedan has pretty much the same interior as the hatchback, with a couple of small changes. You can't have the colour pack from the hatch, which gives you lovely red touches throughout the cabin and red seats for a fairly low price, which can really brighten up the interior. It's a bit of a disappointment to see that omission. Now, this class of car isn't really about moving large numbers of people around, but the back seat is usable in a pinch. All of the basics are in place. You've got full-length curtain airbags for all three occupants, as well as lap sash seatbelts and proper headrests for everyone in the back. Now, it does have 3 seats, but I have to say that putting more than 2 adults in the back here is going to get very, very squeezy. The passenger seat here is all the way forward, whereas the driver's seat is in my driving position. And as you can see, there's really not a lot of room for passengers to put their legs. There's some interesting use of materials in here. We've got a bit of faux carbon fibre around the console and steering wheel that looks pretty cool, but some of the plastics are just a little bit hard and scratchy. Then again, what should you expect from a car that costs $14,990 plus on-road costs? If you can afford to buy a budget new car as opposed to an older used model, the Mazda2 remains one of the best in its class, and the sedan's additional practicality, available at no extra cost, only adds to the Mazda2's appeal.